Georgia. Here we are in this great little town, which is not so much a little town anymore, and it's changed a lot. And I have the great privilege of knowing and working with Tammy Skinner. She is the managing attorney at Weissman Law, who has been here for a long time, both personally and professionally. So I grabbed Tammy today. She's so sweet to take some time with me to talk about Alpharetta, what it was and what it's becoming and what it is today. So thanks, Tammy.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely fell in love with Crabapple. As soon as we saw it, we said we have to live here.
Yeah.
We built a first home, which was a dream to build a home in Alpharetta. And I had the distinct pleasure with Weissman to open their first office on the west side of Alpharetta in 2001.
Okay.
And which is where the Alpharetta Welcome Center is right now, where the big fountain is.
Right, so that's on Old Milton and Highway 9, down.
Right on Old Milton and Highway 9, which at that time dead-ended where Rucker Road is.
So and Rucker Road, Wills Park.
There was a dead end, there was the Dixie Diner.
Okay, yeah, I remember when that was there.
Yes, there was the Dixie Diner, and it was really just a quiet, all-American, just to say, people would laugh, because I originally worked in Georgia over by the Braves Stadium.
Oh.
When I moved up to Alpharetta, and my kids were like, Mom, you know everybody. And I would say that is because I live, work, and play in Metro Alpharetta.
Yes, absolutely.
And people would laugh when I said Metro Alpharetta, right? Because we were outside the perimeter, and they thought, now it is Metro Alpharetta. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it's become.
Right.
And
so tell me about, you. Just a few minutes ago, we were talking about your commute.
Yes.
What it was like coming from Crabapple, Georgia to where the Braves Stadium is now, but this was 25 years ago.
Crazy. So when we lived in Crabapple, there was one traffic light from Crabapple all the way to Georgia 400. One traffic light. North Point Mall did not exist.
Okay.
And from my house, door to door, from my house all the way to the Braves Stadium, and I would go 400 to 285, took max 20 to 25 minutes.
And that was during rush hour?
That was during rush hour. Now it would probably take an hour and 15 to an hour 30, and I think there's 12 traffic lights from that house to Georgia 400.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So we've grown just a little bit.
Yeah. So why Alpharetta when it was a sleepy little town?
Well, it wasn't so sleepy at that time. I mean, it was a old school, old town Alpharetta, but you could see the movement towards Alpharetta.
Okay.
And there, you know, the new construction was big then, and new homes. And as I said, I moved from New Jersey, and buying a new home was a dream. Alpharetta, you know, we're always forecasting as a law firm that does closings. And then Alpharetta, because people didn't want to drive to Midtown, where our main office was, to do a closing. So we opened an office here for convenience for the clients.
And I feel like that was a brilliant decision. And it sounds like your family tells that story better than anything. Tell me about your family and their experience with Alpharetta.
Okay, so as I said, when we first moved to Georgia, we followed my in-laws here. My father-in-law had transferred with OP Telecom. My mother-in-law was a nurse, so she transferred and was the director of the OR at St. Joe's for more than 30 years. And when we moved here, we lived with them for a minute until I passed the bar.
All right. Woo!
And then we...
that's a big thing.
We built a house in Alpharetta.
Okay.
It absolutely would have been our dream home in New Jersey. We built a house in Alpharetta. After that, my in-laws sold their house in Dunwoody and moved to Alpharetta.
Of course, yes.
My youngest sister-in-law moved to Alpharetta. My oldest sister-in-law, her family, their 2 children, left New Jersey and moved to Alpharetta.
That's 4.
And then my brother-in-law and his family moved to Alpharetta. So my kids grew up with 9 cousins within a mile of each other, and the entire Skinner family lives in Alpharetta, in the Crabapple area.
Oh my gosh.
So we tried to see what it would take to call it Skinnerville.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
So that we all have moved here and we all still live here.
How do you think Weissman has been able to stand the test of time? That, you know, there are lots of businesses that were in business 20, 30 years ago that are no longer a part of the Alpharetta scene. Right. So what is it that you have done that's made you be able to be successful even after this huge explosion?
So that's an interesting question. Weissman's brand, you know, that comes to mind for me is we know, we care, we make it happen.
Yeah.
And through all the highs and lows in the industry over, more than 20 years that I've been here, I've always tried to focus on the center one, the we care.
Yes.
And really do things out of a spirit of generosity.
And I can testify that is true, for sure.
For the community, especially, this is a huge time in people's lives. One of the biggest investments they're probably ever going to make is their home. And so I think for me, it's just been an honor to do it, in a community that I love. And when somebody comes here, whether they're moving from somewhere else in Georgia or, from another state, I can share with them, and I think it shines through, my love of community. So it's not just doing a closing. Typically when they're buying a house, I know the street, I know a neighbor, I know the schools. So I love to be a resource for people in the community. And so I think, when you put that at the forefront, success follows. When you're really, your primary concern is about the people you serve.
Yes.
Then you're able to sustain your business.
So I often wonder for people who I've been here 20 years, so I've seen a lot of the transition, but certainly not as much as you have. Is there any a little missing of what it used to be, or how do you feel about the changes that have happened?
Maybe a tinge. I used to love when I would drive home down Mayfield Road, and there were the whole strip along Mayfield Road was families who had lived there forever, and there was this one house right next to Alpharetta Elementary, and there were probably 6 elderly couples, and every single night they would go in the driveway and bring all their chairs and have cocktails. And I used to wave to them every night. So I miss that.
Yeah.
I missed that part of it.
And the llamas.
I miss the llamas. When we first moved here, the only thing was our subdivision and a llama farm. I will say the growth brings excitement because I now have 2 20-somethings.
Yeah, me too.
And they want to come back to Alpharetta.
Yes.
And that's the draw, because now it's exciting. Now there's things to do. Now it's own metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has obviously, family is hugely important to me. And the fact that my children want to come back and raise their families in Alpharetta, I think is in large part because of the growth that we've seen and the excitement in the city.
And don't you think the planners of the city of Alpharetta have done an exceptional job in putting it together?
They have done an exceptional job because, there's still some small town feel. Like when I go to the street festivals, it's still a family town.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with that.
Well, it still has those people who have lived here for decades.
That's true.
And so those relationships and those ties just really make it special.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody who lives here is very invested in the community.
I agree with that. Well, Tammy, I can't thank you enough for coming here. Everyone gets a little nerve-wracking about getting a video with Kelly, but I think you did awesome, and I can't thank you enough for doing this with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.